Hey besties, it's Sarah. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a vlog where I read the most hyped books I've been seeing lately. The specific book that inspired this video was Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. If you haven't heard about this book, I would like to know what rock you're living under and if it's nice there, because I cannot stop seeing this book everywhere. To be honest, I thought that the cover of Fourth Wing was kind of ugly. And so I was like, why does everyone like this book? And so then I was like, well, what if I read it for a vlog? And then I picked up some other hyped books and just made it a whole theme. So I took to Instagram and I asked my followers which books they've been seeing hyped up like crazy lately. And so of course, a ton of people said Fourth Wing. So Fourth Wing was a non-negotiable for this TBR. So the rest of my TBR, I decided off of just kind of what I wanted to read from what people were saying in these comments. And so I read Yellowface by R.F. Kuang, The Last Word by Taylor Adams. I personally loved No Exit, so I was really intrigued to read Taylor Adams' new book because I haven't read anything else by him, and so I was really excited to pick that up. And then lastly, I read Big Swiss by Jen Began. Only one person brought this up, but I have really been wanting to read this book, and I have seen multiple people talk about it. I saw Riley talk about it on her channel. I saw it brought up on a couple other random booktube channels, and I also have seen quite a bit of it on TikTok among the people who like to read literary fiction. So some of this TBR is a little selfishly what I want to read that's hyped up. Obviously, Happy Place by Emily Henry came up quite a bit, and people have asked me in my comments if I've read it yet because I am an Emily Henry stan. And I have to break the news to you guys. I read it when it first came out and I didn't like it. I think I gave it like 3 stars. I'm going to reread it soon, just of my own accord, not really for a vlog, to make sure that I'm serious about this 3-star review, because I was so disappointed by Happy Place to the point where I might put it on my worst books of the year because of how upset I am by how much I didn't like it. But I know all the other girlies are loving it, and so that book is super hyped up. I'm gonna reread it. I was going to maybe reread it for this vlog and kind of add it in, but then 5 books became too many. So I'm just sticking with the 4 books that I just mentioned. I'm not normally a literary fiction person. I feel like I've always thought I wasn't very intellectual or interested in reading that sort of thing, but I've noticed as I've been getting older that my reading tastes have been changing and that I'm a lot more open to books with really great prose that are about the human experience and not necessarily super plot driven. I'm not saying I always like this, but I've just noticed that I'm more open to lit fic. And so I didn't know what to think going into The Big Swiss. I really liked the concept. I also liked that it was sapphic. This book is about a woman named Greta who is a transcriber for a sex therapist. Through listening to all of the therapy sessions, Greta becomes very obsessed and fixated on this one woman who is from Switzerland and younger than Greta. Greta's like in her 40s and this woman is in her late 20s, and so she just really likes this woman's voice. She really likes her story, and she just becomes very infatuated with her. And then one day when she's at the dog park, her dog gets into a tussle with another dog, and then this woman comes and basically saves her dog, and through that she actually meets Big Swiss in person, and so they start a relationship. And I found this book to be so fascinating. I have about 30 minutes left of the audiobook, so I'm very much near the end, but I have really enjoyed it all the way through. I feel like that is so exciting to me because I love picking up a hyped book and having it actually be good. Obviously, this book has been more hyped among people who like lit fic, and it's not been quite as popular as maybe some of the other books in this video, but it kind of already was on my radar as something that I wanted to read. I had a friend that read it recently and she really liked it, and then I also saw it mentioned on a few people's channels, so it's kind of selfish that I picked this up. I will say people did say that it was hyped, and I have also seen it on TikTok and other places, so I'm really liking it. Obviously, I'll give you guys a quick update when I finish like the last section of the book. I am kind of interested to see where this resolves. There was a lot of like deceit and interesting things going on, but I just love all the characters. I think they're so quirky and interesting, and yeah, I don't know. So I'll update you guys soon. It's been many hours since we last spoke, and I have finished The Big Swiss. I apologize if my makeup is smudged right now because I took a fat nap earlier. I actually was supposed to be doing chores because my house is quite messy. I don't really like to show it on camera very much because I am the least tidy person in the universe. It's actually a problem. Like, you know that TikTok sound where Danny DeVito is like, I'm the trash man? Like, I am the trash man. I am not a homemaker, I am a hovel maker. But I just finished The Big Swiss and I liked it so much. I will say, I didn't love the ending. I thought the ending was pretty open-ended, which wasn't bad. Like, the last scene made me smile and I really liked it. I absolutely loved Greta as a main character. She is so unhinged and I loved that about her. Loved how she gaslit herself and everyone around her. She had a lot of stuff going on and I just really appreciated her character arc and where she ended up at the end of the book. Greta honestly might be one of my favorite characters that I've read in a long time. She was just really embodying girl boss gaslight gatekeep. There was just something about this book that was unapologetically chaotically messy, and I really loved that about it, especially as someone who is extremely messy in my life and disorganized. I would say that I have this weird personality trait where I'm very organized in certain areas, like when it comes to my day job or like planning my videos or anything that like I actually am interested in. I'm really, really good at being organized and really thorough. But when it comes to like executive function things, I don't know if it's because of my mild ADHD or what, but I just have always struggled with chores. I think it also has to do with my upbringing, which is a whole other thing that we're not going to talk about on this video. But yeah, I'm just super messy and I don't like to show you guys, so I never really let you guys see most of my house. So I have to go do my chores for the rest of the night, and I am going to start my next book. I think I might either read Fourth Wing or Yellowface. We'll decide what direction I want to go. Okay, plot twist, guys. I decided to pick up The Last Word by Taylor Adams instead of the other ones that I was talking about, and I'm only 15% of the way through, but I'm so scared right now. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I literally have to keep pausing the audiobook because I'm literally terrified. So it's about this girl, and she's house sitting for this rich woman who is away, and so she's staying in her beach house, and she reads an ebook of like a horror novel that she really doesn't enjoy. So she goes on Amazon and she leaves a 1-star review, and then the author gets really upset that she left a 1-star review. So then he like comes to the house that she's staying in, and at the part where I'm at in the book, he's been stalking her for a while, and she kind of figures that it's him because he threatened her when she left the 1-star review, and now he's like outside of her house and saying that he's gonna break in and like kill her. And I'm like, oh. And her dog is in the backyard and the door is still cracked, and so this man is gonna get inside. This is giving like When a Stranger Calls vibes. I don't know if you ever saw that movie with Camilla, whatever her name is, but it's like so scary to me. Also, good memory thinking about that movie, because that actually was the first PG-13 movie I ever saw in theater when I was like 13 years old. Anyway, I'm really scared right now, and so I just wanted to give you an update, because sometimes I don't give an update when I'm like in the heat of the emotion with the books that I'm reading, but I'm genuinely so scared right now and I don't know what to do. I want to keep listening, but I'm also like, I feel like I'm gonna throw up. I am about 75% of the way through The Last Word, and it was really suspenseful in the beginning. Like where I left off and I was telling you guys I was really scared, that was the last time I felt scared, because right after that scene, we started getting another perspective from the actual author that's like hunting her down. I feel like the addition of that perspective kind of took away from the suspense, because I preferred being in Emma's third person limited experience. Like I didn't really want this other experience added. It definitely adds a bit of humor because the killer, the guy, the author, is sort of a caricature of an incel. Like he actually wears a fedora and he smells like Mountain Dew and butter. I don't know how I feel about it so far. I'm not loving it as much as I loved No Exit. I feel like No Exit really surprised me with some of the twists, but so far a lot of the things that are happening are a little obvious to me, and my favorite thing in thrillers is when they can surprise me, and I don't really feel super surprised so far. I am feeling like I'm gonna be giving it like a 3-star rating. So we'll see how it shakes out in the last 25%, like in the ending, because maybe that will, you know, up my rating. Maybe I'll give it like 3.5 or 4 stars. But so far, I'm definitely not loving it as much as No Exit, but it's not a bad book by any means. This is not a book where I'd be like, the hype is unwarranted, no one should read this. Like that's not how I'm feeling at all. I'm just sort of like, give me more. 2 hours later. No guys, no, absolutely not. I actually take back everything I just said. This book is a solid 3 stars. It was so underwhelming in the last 25%, and I literally predicted everything from the very start. Like every twist, I predicted it. Like I predicted everything. You know that TikTok sound that's like, now that I'm really looking at him, this bitch kind of ugly. That's this book. That's this book. It's like at first glance, you're like, it wasn't that bad. It was readable. And then when you finish it, you're like, actually no. I'm only giving it 3 stars because it wasn't the worst thing I've ever read in the world, and I feel like I reserve like 1 and 2 star ratings for things that I actually genuinely don't like. But this book was like so mid. I really didn't enjoy it actually, so I actually don't think it's worth the hype at all. I feel like my tune has really changed. We've really gone on a roller coaster with this book. I don't know why, I just sort of felt like giving you guys this next update outside. I do think that it could be kind of loud out here from the birds and also my AC unit that's on the side of the house, but I just thought we'd mix it up and go outside and pretend I'm Miss Outdoorsy Girl and not someone who actually got diagnosed with criminally low vitamin D by an actual doctor. Like I actually literally have to take vitamin D supplements every day by doctor's orders. Anyway, I am about 25% of the way through Fourth Wing, and let me just tell you, I think this book might have crack in it. This is the book that's by far the most hyped up. It's actually the book that inspired me to do this video, and so far I can kind of see why people are hyping this one up. So this book is about a girl named Violet who comes from a military family. I don't super understand the politics of this world, so I'm probably not going to explain them to you, but basically it is this world where there are dragon riders and they all are like fighting in this army to protect land or something. I don't know. They've been kind of explaining it, but I'm not really good at understanding fantasy worlds until I'm like in book 3. All I know is that there's this school to train to become a soldier that is a dragon rider, and our main character Violet, like I said, comes from a military family. Her mom is a general and her sister's really important and her brother was really important before he died, blah blah blah. So it's like just in her family to be a dragon rider, and she wanted to be a scribe but her mom wouldn't let her, so she is trying to become a dragon rider. I feel like I've said the word dragon rider at least 10 times in this description. The weird thing about this book is it has a very nostalgic feeling to it. It sort of feels like young adult, but it's not. It definitely has more adult themes and adult characters. So it feels like a combination of Divergent and An Ember in the Ashes with a little bit of Hunger Games mixed in. There's just something about it that's giving that like 2010, 2011 dystopian feel to it, even though it's not a dystopian book by any means. I don't know how to describe it. It's just giving me everything I need. Like sometimes I just want to have fun. Like the writing in this is not the most amazing thing, but it's not bad at all. It's just very plain, but the actual storytelling, like what's going on, is fascinating. Like I keep thinking about this book when I'm not reading it. Like I listened to the audiobook for like 2 hours last night before I was going to bed, and I went to bed at like 3 a.m. because I was just like so interested in what was going on. Like in the beginning, they have to do this thing to get into the dragon riding school where they have to go over this like parapet thing. Like it's like above the mountains and like there's a river below, and if you fall off of it then you die. And so there's a lot of like life and death in this, and I feel like that's what reminds me sort of Hunger Games. But then also once you're in the dragon school you get placed into a wing, and so Violet is put into the Fourth Wing. And the big thing too is that there are these people in the school that their parents were traitors, and so they got murdered, and then the kids were forced to conscript into the army, and so they have a lot of hate towards Violet since her mom was one of the people that killed their parents basically because they were traitors. And so there's a guy named Zaid, I think his name is Zaid, Zaid, something like that. He is sexy fine, and I can tell that he is going to be a love interest for Violet coming up because she keeps talking about how hot he is, and I'm kind of living for it. There's also a childhood friend named, is his name Zaid? I don't know anybody's names. I feel like his name starts with J. I've been listening to the book and I'm really intrigued by it, but Violet is the only one that I really remember her name. Anyway, there's another guy too who's like her childhood best friend who she also likes, and he's her squad leader in this wing she's in. It feels like it would be the perfect CW show, and I know you might think that is an insult, but I mean that with the utmost excitement and respect because I love CW shows. I personally have seen every episode of The Vampire Diaries, and even though the plot was a little stupid sometimes, I loved that show. And so it's just giving CW like the 100, or I don't know, one of those shows that's like so addicting to watch. Like it's not gonna win an Oscar or like an Emmy, but it's still like really good. That's how I feel about this book. But even better than that, like all the YA books that I'm comparing it to, I feel like it's better than those. I'm just living. I love Violet. I even love the tropiness. Like I love that we're gonna have a love triangle. There's some foreshadowing going on with the dragons, and I feel like it's pretty predictable what's going to happen, but I'm living for it. I don't know how else to describe it besides like this book is a sleigh. Besties, I am live, laugh, loving. I am living my best life. I love Fourth Wing. I am the hype. I love the hype. I'm part of the hype. There's a hype train. I'm the conductor on the hype train. Like I'm living for this book, honestly. I just got to the threshing, which is the part in the book where the dragon rider hopefuls try to bond with a dragon. And the whole thing is that you don't get to choose which dragon you want to bond with. It's kind of up to the dragons. Like they are sentient beings that get to decide like who they want to be their rider, like who's worthy of them. And so when you're in the threshing, it's very common to die because sometimes like if you disrespect a dragon, they might like incinerate you or whatever. And I got to the part where Violet gets her dragon, and I love it. I was so excited. I did predict which dragon was going to be hers because I feel like the foreshadowing in this book is very heavy. I will say this book is extremely tropey, but I love it. I love it. It's just, there's something about it that is so exciting and fun. Like, I don't need every single plot point to be a surprise. There was one thing that happened that I was like screaming, like I was excited. I didn't expect it to happen. And I was like, oh my God. So yeah, we got to this part where she did this like really heroic thing, and then the dragon chose her, and then she got to the place where they like announced like who your dragon is, and everybody was like shocked that that dragon chose her, and then another little thing happened, and I was like, oh my God. I was like, I'm loving. I will say the one character I'm hating so far is Dane. That is the guy that was her best friend growing up, who's way overprotective of her. He's giving Gale from Hunger Games vibes. Like, he feels like he knows best for Violet, and he's just kind of a baby loser. Like, he keeps begging her to not become a dragon rider and to like go be a scribe, and he's just giving weak male energy. Like, I really don't like him at all. He's such a loser. I am waiting for Xaden and Violet to get together. That is what I'm living for and hoping for. I also love the relationship between Violet and her dragon. It was so cute when they were like talking to each other, because they have a lot of like sarcastic banter going on, and her dragon just seems really sweet. And I don't know, I'm loving all the dragons. I really love an animal companion in books. Yeah, I'm live, laugh, loving. I have no other things to say besides I'm having such a great time, and I heart Xaden and I hate Dane. Okay, besties, I finished Fourth Wing, and I gotta say it was a slay. That rhymed. I'm a poet, and I didn't even know it. I'm the only one that still says that. I feel like I've been saying that since elementary school, but I just cannot resist saying that after I rhyme something. I am live, laugh, loving whenever I get to be a part of the majority in liking something. I take my role as a hater very seriously, and it is my normal default settings, but once in a while, my cold heart likes what everyone else likes, and I'm part of the popular culture. So I'm super excited to say that I loved Fourth Wing, and I'm going to be giving it 5 stars. I definitely would say that it is not revolutionary. If you are listening to all the hype and you're thinking that you're going to go into this book finding the most original fantasy you've ever read, that's not what this book is about. It is just a really fun and tropey, just, I don't know, it like scratches an itch in my brain like when I'm reading it. It's just so fun. I literally wanted to order a copy of it so that I could show it in the rest of the video, but it's back ordered on every single book website. I ordered it on Amazon, but it's not going to get here until like late June. Like, this book is seriously popular right now. For you girlies who did not like Fourth Wing, I can totally understand why seeing this book so hyped up probably annoys you, and you probably think that it's overhyped. I get that, because that has happened to me with numerous books. I have been you many a time before. So my final thoughts on Fourth Wing are that you should pick this up if you like fantasy that is a little bit tropey but still manages to be creative in its own way. I felt like the dragons and the dragon writing aspect of this made it stand out from the other fantasy that might be similar to it, but it definitely was playing around with tropes and ideas that I've seen before, but I just really enjoyed the way that Rebecca did it. I also think you should pick this up if you enjoy dragons or like the concept of dragon riders. I definitely feel like this book would be up your alley. I definitely want to pick up more dragon books after having read this. I don't know, it was just really fun and interesting, and so if you're looking for something that is a little bit nostalgic feeling, even though it's new to you, I feel like this could like scratch that itch, because it just brought up all the feelings I felt about like Hunger Games and when I first read Ember in the Ashes and those sorts of books. And as someone who no longer reads YA, it's fun to kind of get that aspect in an adult book. So yeah, those are my final thoughts, and I really enjoyed it. So I feel like this one was worth the hype, but I totally get it if you don't. It's one of those scenarios where I feel like the girlies who get it, and the girlies who don't. Okay, moving on. I have also finished Yellowface. I actually finished Yellowface last weekend. I just haven't had a chance to film or talk about it. It wasn't a super long book. Like, it was like 300 pages, so I kind of flew through it in 2 days, and I just didn't have a chance to update you guys. I kind of wish I had updated midway through, because my feelings on the book changed a lot as the book went on. I would say that the first half of this is perfection. It's interesting, it's innovative, it's subversive. So for those of you who don't know, this book is about a white author named Juniper whose career is struggling, and she's fairly good friends with an Asian author named Athena who is doing really well. And one night they're hanging out in Athena's apartment, and Athena chokes on a pancake and dies. And Athena had just shown her this manuscript that no one else has seen before, that she just finished, and she wanted Juniper to read. And so Juniper steals this manuscript and then decides to publish it under her own name. And so the rest of the book is just about her being kind of racist and trying to justify why stealing Athena's book was okay. And so I think what I liked about this book in the first half is that it was pretty funny. It was very interesting to be following Juniper's perspective because she is quite racist without realizing it, and she just makes a lot of assumptions, and she talks about like reverse racism a lot. And so it was kind of funny to start out with, and then as you go on in the book you start to realize that Athena, even though she is the wronged party in the situation, she actually wasn't that good of a person either. And so it's just very interesting morally to be reading this. And I think where the book lost me is that it just dragged on for so long. It kind of felt like it should be a short story. And so what made the first half so exciting and interesting, like I honestly wanted to give it like 4 or 5 stars in the first half. Like I was having a really good time like just reading from Juniper's perspective, because I do love unhinged main characters. Obviously I was not rooting for Juniper the way that I do some other unhinged characters because she was kind of partaking in some interesting behavior, but the book just sort of dragged on in the second half, and I wanted a lot more description of Athena and Juniper's relationship because they'd known each other since college. And I think that the book could have taken on a very interesting aspect if we had just explored their relationship a bit more and gotten more memories of when they knew each other when they were younger. And I don't know, I just wanted some more twists and turns. I felt like I kind of knew where the book was going for most of it, and Juniper's perspective got kind of tiring after a while. I definitely think if you're going to make me read from a really bad main character, as in like behavior bad, I need more from the story. An example that comes to mind is Joe from You. Like when I read that book, he is absolutely doing disturbing things the entire book, but I feel like because of the thriller nature, it added a lot to it where every scene you didn't really know what he was about to do. But with Juniper, she was just anxious and spiraling for a lot of the book because she was worried about getting caught for stealing Athena's book. And so I don't know, I just wanted more from it. It kind of felt like if you've ever been on book Twitter, then you've seen this before, like a lot of like canceling of authors and whatnot. Obviously Juniper deserved to be canceled, but I don't know, I just wanted more to the story. I saw a lot of people say that there's a lot of self-insert stuff from R.F. Kuang. I've never read R.F. Kuang before this, so I can't really speak to that, but I did read some reviews of people who didn't enjoy the book because they felt like it was too clear that Athena's character was meant to be R.F. Kuang. So I don't know, that's kind of my take on it. I'm gonna stick with a 3-star rating. I definitely would not dissuade anyone from reading this book. If you're still interested in picking this up, I absolutely think that you should. I think that the high rating and the hype is warranted. I just don't think it was my type of book. Satire is hit or miss with me, and like I mentioned, I really wanted more from the plot. I just wanted different stuff in the second act. I just wanted more action. I wanted there to be more consequences, and if there wasn't going to be consequences, I wanted Juniper to be even more deranged and unhinged. And I don't know, it just got kind of old for me. So my 3-star rating is more based on that than the merit of the writing or the commentary. I definitely think that R.F. Kuang was saying a lot of good things, and also reading like her writing through the perspective of this crazy white woman was definitely interesting. I just again think that it would have been better in either a shorter format or if the story had taken a lot more like twists and turns. And so those are kind of my final thoughts on it. I definitely think it's worth the hype. I don't think I'm going to be putting it on any sort of favorites list, but that brings me to the end of this reading vlog. I hope that I maybe gave you some insight into these hyped up books that everyone has been talking about. I really enjoyed this. I love doing a reading vlog where I just kind of like vibe and read things that I'm interested in. It just so happened that the things I was interested in reading matched up with the things that were hyped up, and so I love a little impromptu idea. I totally changed my entire filming schedule so that I could do this video. And yeah, let me know down below if you've read any of these books. Are you interested in what they've got going on? Are you a fan, not a fan? We should discuss it in the comments. Also, if you've made it to the end of this video and you enjoyed it, feel free to use the fireworks emoji in your comment. I feel like fireworks embody what hyped books feel like everybody's just talking about them, and it's like, I don't know, this is like a firework motion. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. You're all beautiful. Have a nice day.